Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we get into the good, the bad, the ugly of business ownership and building your own work from home business. Today, we have a really awesome episode with guest Scott Bell. We also have Deanna with us, and Bill and I, and we cover a lot of really cool things today. We talk about life transitions and how to get through when your path, the direction you're going in life may suddenly shift. We talk about overcoming imposter syndrome, and we even cover little simple daily habits to move you forward to keep your goals in mind. You do not want to miss this episode. It is great. We have lots of fun conversations, and we hope you enjoy. We'll see you inside the episode.
All right, everyone. Behind every successful business is a story, one of courage, creativity, and taking control of your future. This is the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast where we do real talk, where we share real stories, struggles, successes of people who have built freedom-based businesses. So if you're ready to design a business that fits your life, or maybe it's just to scale your existing business and hear real talk from those doing it already, you're in the right place. And I'm so excited about today. I got to tell you, my dearest friend Scott Bell is here, and we've got Emily and Bill and myself, and we are so excited to interview you, Scott. So thank you for joining us, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm stoked to be here.
Awesome. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to start it off because I've been friends with Scott for many, many years, and why I was so excited to bring him on here is because I know so many people, when you're starting out with your business, or maybe you've been in your business for a little while and you hit a rough patch, and you have to learn to be resilient. You have to learn to overcome those obstacles and figure out what your next strategy is and how to move forward with that. And I got to tell you, if there is anyone that can speak to that, it is Scott. And Scott, a couple years ago, his father passed away, and he and his mother inherited this incredible business. And I'm going to have him tell the story, but he had to go in and he had to really recreate the idea of the business and how they had to go in and restructure things. And not only did he do that, he scaled it and then he exited it. So he got to sell that business, and then he bought himself some more freedom to do more of the things that he loves with the time that he has. So Scott, why don't you share a little bit about your journey and why you're so dang incredible?
Well, thank you. That was an amazing introduction, and I I want to share with people that there's going to be a day where you think that you're on one path, and then the worlds collide, and you're on another. And so I was at an event, and I was speaking in front of a group of people, and my phone started ringing, and it was my little sister. And so we talked, but it was one of those things like I didn't have any reason why she should be calling me. And then so I put it on silent, and then she called me again. And it was that like I'm gonna keep calling. And so she worked for my father, and my father owned a home services company. It did pest control, it did carpet cleaning. There was some light general construction that was done. And my dad was doing the thing that he loved doing the most, which was doing the books. And for his entire life as I was a kid, the thing that he liked the most in business was closing out the books at the end of the month. And so he always teased as we were growing up that his perfect death would be for him to drink a Diet Pepsi and to fall over dead from a heart attack. And so my dad stood up, drank a Diet Pepsi, had a Widowmaker heart attack, and was gone by the time that he hit the floor. And so he had so much going on. He had five businesses at one time. And so I think that the stress finally got to him. And it was one of those things where it was like he had nothing left in the tank. And so he left my mom five companies. He was in the middle of exiting one. We closed down two, sold one, and then kept one going. And it was a lot because my dad was really good to people. My dad was very nice to people. And he had quite a few people in the building that were taking advantage of not getting work done. They would show up and they were getting paid and they were taking money, but they weren't doing anything. So he had to go and restructure the entire organization. Now, I had help, of course. It wasn't just me. There was people there. But it was a lot to take on. And in the beginning, it was very stressful. About a year after my dad passed, COVID hit.
Mm.
So it wasn't just, okay, here we got a problem. It was like wait, we got another problem. And now we got another problem. And so it became an opportunity to overcome obstacles.
Mhm. Awesome. So, Emily, do you want to kick any questions off? Bill, if you guys, because I have questions as well, but I want to make sure that everyone gets to ask a really good question here.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to start our audience. We have people in our audience who are thinking about starting a business and may not know exactly what that means yet, but we also have people who may have existing businesses. But something you said that really stuck with me is there may be a moment that happens in your life where you think you're on one path, something changes, and your path completely changes. And I think that relates to people who either have a business, they're stuck, they're not sure how to grow it, or are the part of our audience that is working a job or is a stay-at-home parent, wants to make more money, but something about their life, they're on a path that just isn't where they need to be. So what I would love to know from you, if people are feeling that way, or experiencing that sudden shift, in your experience, what helped you regain center and regain your focus and say, wow, I've been put in this new direction. I'm grieving a loss. I also have, personal responsibilities, but now I have to center myself around this change. How did you get through that, and what techniques do you have to go through periods like that?
I'm a huge fan of paying attention to what I tell myself.
Mm.
So I have a couple of sayings. One day I'm going to tell the story from a stage. So if there's
Mm.
anything weird or bad going on, the first thought is, there's going to be a day where I'm on a stage and I'm telling this story and nobody's going to believe it. Or it's going to be amazing and it's going to be funny. What's funny about this situation? That's
Mm.
another question that I ask. As soon as something happens in my life, I start taking a look at how am I talking to myself? What questions am I asking? I also take a look at who am I reaching out to. So having a network, having people that you can have a conversation with, that you believe in, that you trust, that want the best for you,
Mm.
is one of the best parts of business. Now, I met Deanna like we met a while ago,
Yeah.
but the network that we share together, to have that ability to make a phone call and say, I'm stuck. And realize, okay, look, in business, we've all had problems. We've all had the setbacks. It doesn't matter what like level of success that somebody is at. We've all faced some sort of problem, some sort of nightmare, some sort of situation where, hey, I just need somebody to talk to. I just need a perspective. I just need an idea. I just need some advice. And realizing that you're not at it alone. There's always somebody there that you could talk to and have a conversation with.
Yeah. I had a question and I just thought, because what people don't know, and I didn't even get to tell people this, but you're an amazing business coach. And when I say amazing, and the fact that you've worked with some of the best people out there as well, like you worked with Roland Frazier, with Jay Abraham, like you've been at you have worked with some of the just amazing top people and all of their students, and you teach people how to grow their business, how to scale, how to exit businesses as well. But I'm curious on a personal note, like what part of the growth has been emotionally harder for you and yourself than you ever expected? I mean, I know it's one thing to be the coach teaching people things, but
Sure.
then to experience it yourself. Was there one thing or not that was a little bit harder than you expected?
Comparison. Like, I will share this with you. I get to be around some of the top entrepreneurs, and sometimes I'll take a look and go, look where they're at. Look what they're doing. And so I catch myself too, doing everything that everybody else does. Is it looks easy on their end, but when they tell the story of what they went through, it's like, okay, there's way more to this than what's going on. So, even though that I'm in front of a rooms, even though that I'm coaching people, I promise you, I go through all the same things that anybody else does.
That's awesome.
That kind of loops back to what you said earlier in these moments of change, in these moments of growth, you pay attention to what you tell yourself. We experience that a lot with our students, whether they tell themselves, "Oh, I see these other people have these big businesses. Who am I to say I could grow that? Who am I to say maybe I grew up disadvantaged or didn't make a certain amount of money? Who am I to make more money in my life, right?" And I think that goes hand in hand. Of really paying attention to the thoughts that you say, the words that come out of your mouth, create your experience. At least I believe that. I don't know what you think
Yeah.
about that, but I think that's important. It's so easy to compare ourselves and then let that monster kind of build and build and build. So can you speak to that a little bit more?
I'm going to give you a little bit different answer than what you're expecting.
Okay.
I'm currently writing a book on creativity. And a constraint is a problem, an issue, or a rule that you have to get around. And one of the things that we forget is that without a constraint, it's hard to create. So if you have unlimited capacity, unlimited time, unlimited resources, you may not think in terms of like, what do I have to do to make this work?
Mm,
So I would say if you grew up disadvantaged, you have an advantage that you're not thinking about. You had to be scrappy at an age. If you have a money constraint, which means like I don't have a lot, then that means that you have to go look for relationships, joint ventures, partnerships. So I would say whatever problem that you're facing, and I cover this a lot in detail, it's something that I've really taken a look at, is flip it on its head and say, how could I use this to my advantage? Right? If this wasn't a problem, if this was the solution to my problem, how would I use it? So
mm.
you could go ahead, we'll just play this game right now. What are some of the constraints or problems or rules that people run up against in your small business or in the bookkeeping space that you're seeing?
I would say that that's probably they'd probably answer it saying trying to get new clients might be one of them, right? Like how to get out there and market themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we could go down the path of you could have conversations with people who are just starting their business, which may not be the ideal client. But you have to take a look at it and say, how can I use this to my advantage? I'm just getting started. Okay, cool. That's part of your story. Right? You have certain expectations of you at every level. If you're all the way up at the top, you have different expectations of you than when you're just starting out.
Mhm.
And I know that a lot of times our students suffer from self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
am I capable of doing this? Yeah, I'd love you to talk about, when you jumped into this, and I've gone through this, and who'd ever think that I would own automotive repair shops? And so think about how did, when you got into that, and taking over your dad's businesses and running them, getting that imposter syndrome out of your head.
I allow myself to feel bad about situations for a set amount of time today. Like today, I woke up this morning and every day I listen to my goals. It's the first thing that I go to. And I woke up this morning having some doubts about where I'm going in the future today, 3 hours ago. Okay. So this is something that I live with. But then I also just like, okay, it's like the radio in the background. There's there's noise back here going on. It's a little bit of radio. That's how I work through treating my self-doubt. Like other people have had it too. Everybody goes through this. I have worked with some exceptional entrepreneurs doing $100 million a year in revenue. You know what they tell me? Scott, I got self-doubt. I've worked with people doing $50 million a year in revenue. You know what they tell me? Scott, I got self-doubt. I've worked with people with $0 in revenue. You know what they tell me? I got self-doubt, which I will share with you that I go through this too. That how can you talk to yourself in a way that's like, okay, if other people have done it, so can I. I got this phrase from Roland Frazier a couple of years ago. I've done it before and I could do it again.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then, you know what? I flipped that. If I've never done it before, others have done it before and I can do it also. And
Mhm.
so I tend to take like advice from other people and say, okay, if it doesn't work the way that they're saying it, how can I modify it to fit my needs? If other people have done it before and I could do it also, then that's what I need to hear.
Love that.
I
I
love
think
that.
there's an element maybe that lives in there that we talk a lot with our students about is sometimes you just have to commit to doing things before you feel ready. And
Yeah.
it sounds like at any level, the people we see that are more successful are the ones who are willing to sit and have that self-talk with them. Okay, maybe I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm going to take action. I'm going to jump. I'm going to take a leap in some way. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah. There, in our minds, we tend to think like it's the movies that everything is going to be perfect, that everything is going to be amazing, and there's not going to be any train wrecks, there's not going to be any problems. I just kind of look at it in the morning like, here's what I have planned, and I don't know if it's going to go my way or not, but I'm still going to make it happen.
Mm.
And sometimes whatever you do isn't going to resonate today. It's the evolution of what you've created, right? So it's like, okay, I did something today. So I created a YouTube video today. It didn't get traction. But the next evolution, or the next evolution after that, or the next evolution after that might get traction. And it's consistently taking the same steps over and over and over again, but modifying where you need the correction.
Let's talk about scaling and sustainability a little bit. What I
I,
love the most about you is that what people don't know, and I'm going to tell them right now, is that
oh,
you go between different homes. You have a beautiful home in Hawaii, and you pretty much live there most of the time, right? So I'm curious, like, how do you know when it's time to slow down or speed up? Because I've heard you personally tell me before, you're like, you know what, I'm going to Hawaii to my happy place, and I'm going to reevaluate. So I'm curious as what is there anything that like is like for you that's like, okay, here's my time to slow down. I've hit this or I've hit that. Or how do you know for you, for Scott, when it's time to slow down, speed up, go back to your happy place, things like that?
when nothing's working.
Mm.
Like if nothing's working, it means like, okay, I need to take a timeout. And for anybody out there, they don't need Hawaii. Don't get me wrong, you need Hawaii, but they don't need Hawaii. I
Well,
I was
well,
gonna
Bill's got
say,
his.
I live in Sacramento, and about 20 miles south of me is Pear Orchards. So yesterday, I had all the opportunity to do whatever I wanted, and I'm looking at, hey, where am I going in the next 10 years? And so I went to the Pear Orchards out by the levee, and I just sat there for an hour journaling. And it's what I needed to do to get my information out. So you have the ocean, you have the mountains, you have the desert, you have somewhere near you that you could get away and just take some focus for an hour to yourself. I put my phone in airplane mode. I love classical music, opera music. I love a ton of music, but I'll put something on that allows for me to be creative and allows for me to think about, hey, what am I going to do and where am I going? And I usually find that after that hour of recharge, I'm good. I can take Zoom calls, sales calls, interviews from pretty much anywhere in the world. And so I'm blessed in that fact. So like it doesn't mean that I'm not working when I'm out in Hawaii. Believe me, I'm working. I'm just doing it in a place that's got 78 degrees and, nice breeze.
Well, and fun fact, you should start in your downtime listening to Emily. Emily sings, by the way. She
Does
does.
she?
Yes, she does. And then
Proof or it didn't happen.
it's on YouTube. I did get 2 degrees
she
in
did.
opera.
Yeah, she does. And then
We'll
you know,
talk about
Bill's
life transitions. That
and
relates to me for sure.
and Bill does the same thing, and he can speak to it as well, Scott. Like there's been times where he's just like, I'm gonna go to the lake. I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and go to my happy. He calls it his happy place, right? And that's
Yeah.
how he resets and recharges too, Bill, right?
I thought you were talking about opera singing.
Oh, I was
I
like,
was
yeah,
waiting for
I
him to
don't
start
opera
He
belting
can
sing,
opera
out.
but
sing.
no, I told Deanna we're in the middle of an acquisition that's closing in 30 days, and I told her, honey, when this closes, I'm going to the lake house for 3 days. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I don't want to see anybody, and I'm just going to be at the lake in my boat, and it may be cold, but that's my happy place, and that's
Yeah.
sort of where I reset.
It's awesome.
So
All
I
right.
I would challenge everybody right now just to pause for a second and figure out like where could I go for just an hour? It
Mhm.
may be a lake, it may be a river, maybe an ocean. It may be somewhere, 30 minutes from you. Where can you just sit and put your phone on airplane mode and think? Most people don't think through what's going on. Like, how do you strategize? The easiest way to do that is to make a list. Like anytime that you're stuck and you're like, okay, what am I going to do? It's to make a list. It's the fastest way for you to get momentum.
That's awesome. Emily, did you have another question? Sorry, I think I
Well,
jumped in.
yeah, he actually just answered it. You were talking about earlier just today. You woke up not really sure where you're going, where your idea of where you're going in the next couple of years. And then you mentioned I needed to plan out what my next 10 years looks like. And some of our people in our audience may be stuck still in the day to day, right? They feel like they want to change in their life, but we're not always trained in normal non-entrepreneur world to plan out that far ahead. People may just be trying to get, the kids to school and day to day to day, and it's so easy to get caught up in that, and years can pass. And so you gave really good feedback. Sometimes you just need to take a step away for an hour and make a list. But can you speak a little bit more to the mindset shift if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to make a change in your life that comes with having to sit and being intentional about the direction that you're going in? I'd love to hear
When
your
I think
thoughts on
of the
that.
term entrepreneur, it's a French word, but as an American word, it means to solve problems. It's not the technical definition. But if you say, "Hey, I want to be an entrepreneur," I'm like, "Welcome to solving problems," right? That is going to be your job. And the bigger that you scale, the more problems that are brought to you at a bigger level, even if you have management. Like, you're thinking, "Hey, I'm going to acquire a business." And like that is an amazing goal. That is an amazing thing to have, but you're going to have problems while you're acquiring that business. "Hey, I want to run a team." You're going to have problems while you run that team. "Hey, I'm going to acquire some clients." You're going to have problems. And so the people that I see the best reframe this as like, okay, it is a problem, but it's an opportunity.
Mm.
It is something that I'm going to do. Like this morning, I wake up, I'm going to be on a podcast. Okay. I didn't tell myself I got a problem. I don't have a link. I just went, oh, I don't have a link. I need to email and say I need to get a link for today's podcast. Sometimes you don't realize that you have this list, a stack of problems that you're going through until you realize like, oh, I had to work through a bunch of different solutions. There were a bunch of problems. And so I would say, hey, look, welcome it. Welcome the challenges. Welcome the adversity. I was not on the path of helping my mom take over her business. I was speaking in front of groups. I was a sales trainer. I was helping grow businesses. I was not expecting, hey, here's a problem. And through that entire path and through that entire journey, everything became normalized. Like, what weird is going to happen today? Like that's part of my game. What weird is going to happen today? Even in my own personal life today, my business life today, I have that. I've got a couple of sales calls and I just kind of laugh. What weird is going to happen today? Maybe they might show, maybe they might not. Right? It's part of what happens for me. It's part of what happens for everybody.
How have you developed that skill set of being open to the problems, being a problem solver? Has it just naturally evolved as you have grown in your career, your businesses, and faced certain challenges? Or have you had to be intentional about learning using other coachings? I know you're a coach, but
Mhm.
through any mentorship or your network, I'm curious how you've built this skill set.
I've been able to solve problems my entire life. People have always come to me, "Hey, how do I fix this?" And so it's something that people are always asking me for advice. And there's a point where it's like, okay, there's mental models that I can use, there's different strategies that I can take place with. And sometimes it's just listening and being able to lend an ear and say, "Hey, here's what's going on." I was not always good at it. There has been a learning curve. I feel like I get better every day. I want to make sure I'm answering your question to the best of my ability to help the people who are listening. So, Emily, did I answer what you were looking for?
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I'm thinking of people too in our audience who, again, are at the new stage, in a block that they come to is I don't know how to run a business, so how should I start? How can I even start one and be successful? Like to the people in our audience who are very, very new and
Sure.
want to make a change. So yeah, you definitely answered it. I like to hear different perspectives of sometimes you just have to do it. You have to be open to the problems that are going to come and have a certain mindset about it that you either get through it and you make it happen, or you can shy away and be scared. But there's really no in between.
Well, here's the thing that if you have a network, you can go to your network and have a conversation.
Mhm.
Like, what do I do? Every scare and every fear and every problem that you've had or that you're having, everybody else has had too. My grandfather was a dentist, and he was the one that put the entire family into entrepreneurialism. And growing up, he didn't have money. He was dirt poor. And so he used that as like, I'm going to get ahead. I am not going to live the life that I have right now. And I don't remember where I was going to go with this. I totally dropped the ball. I'm sorry.
No. I think you were talking more along the lines of, don't be afraid.
Oh,
Maybe yeah, go ahead.
he had a dental practice. And so, when you take a look at consultants have a practice. Like if you just had to rename your business for a minute and go, instead of having a business, I got to practice. I'm practicing these things.
Mm.
I'll get to where I need to be. And we have this belief sometimes because of GPS that there's always a roadmap, and there's not always a roadmap. Sometimes you have to make the map yourself. Sometimes you have to blaze that trail. You take a look and say, like, well, other people did it this way, and I don't necessarily believe that's right. I'm going to make my map. I'm going to make my direction until it doesn't work, and then you go ask for some help.
It's like, have you ever seen that? I know you've seen this, Scott, when we've talked about it with Roland Frazier. Like, there's the maze. So, everyone just picture this maze. And then it's like, how do you get from here to the end of the maze? And everyone just starts mentally thinking, like, oh, I got to go here, I got to go here. And it's like, no, you just go around it and go to the end. Like,
Yeah,
like you create your own beginning and exit, right?
that's exactly what it is.
All right, well, let's finish with some final questions. I know, Bill, do you have a final question you wanted to ask Scott here?
And just as we talk about entrepreneurship, as we talk about getting into your business, what would the one best piece of advice you give someone who has not been an entrepreneur, has not been a business owner, but looking at taking that step of leaving their W-2 and building something of their own? What's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
The only real rules that are out there are ethics and the IRS. You can pretty much do whatever else you want, right? So, like when you're like, hey, the sky is the limit. Right now, there's some kid on a laptop living in Thailand making 100 grand a month, and he's doing it big because he took some action.
Mm.
Somewhere out there, there's a grandma about to retire opening an Etsy shop, making 10 grand a month because she took action. So young or old, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're playing by some set of rules, and I would encourage you to follow, if you're in the United States, the rules set forth by the IRS, right? And
Note
and
to self.
yeah, and I'm a big fan of ethics and morals. So somewhere in between ethics and morals and the IRS, you have the sky's the limit, right? And that should be freeing.
That's great. Thank you, Scott. All right, Emily, any final questions here for Scott today?
I love that. I thought that was a great answer. The sky is the limit and the rules of the IRS. That was hilarious.
And
I guess maybe if you could share just a personal anecdote, if you could name, we were just talking about our daily routines, our morning routine, one practice every day that in what can be a beautiful chaos of being an entrepreneur. What's one practice that you do every day that keeps you centered and keeps you building,
can I give you
whatever your
two?
goals are?
Can I give you two?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All
I'm
right.
not the IRS. No rules.
Actually, it won't be an IRS joke. I created this thing called an awesomeness swipe file. And what that is every time that something good happens in your life, it's a place for you to go take a look at.
Mm.
So I spoke on stage in an event. I've got a picture in there that I spoke on stage in an event. I had somebody leave me a testimonial. That testimonial is in the awesomeness swipe file. I put up 100 podcasts. On the 100 podcast, I took a screenshot. In the moments of thinking, hey, I don't have these amazing things going on in my life, I will open that swipe file and go, I can't, there's no way I'm telling myself the truth right now. I have proof right here that I did some really cool things and I'm on the right path. It's just in this moment, I'm struggling.
Mm.
So it could be audio, video, testimonial. I mean, just anything that's amazing that's happened in your life. If something happens today and you could take a snapshot of that somehow and put it in a file, and you do that once a week, in a year, you have 52 instances to prove yourself wrong every time you have self-doubt. Okay. In 2 years, you have 104 instances. Now, you can add to this. It could be pictures of your kid, it could be picture of your grandkids, it could be pictures of a house you bought or something that was an amazing achievement. And the more that you add to this file, the more proof it is that you're wrong every time you have self-doubt.
Mm.
Second, every quarter I record my goals on audio and video. And I pull out a phone and I talk to myself, and it literally sounds like this. Hey, Scott, it's the beginning of 2026. You know what you got to do? You got goals and you got things that you want to achieve. It'll be 3 to 5 minutes. And it is the first thing that I like as soon as I wake up in the morning, I'm hitting that button and I'm running through my goals because I want to program myself. I don't want to talk about the negative things. I don't want to look at the news. I don't want to get emails. I don't want to see complaints or people who are upset. I want to start like this is how I started my day. I chose how to start my day. I intentionally started it with my goals. So this morning, I got up 6 o'clock California time, which was 8 o'clock Texas time. And I rolled out of bed and I grabbed my phone and I have it as a playlist. So I know exactly where it's at. And it says, so it is the first thing that I do. And if in the morning, there are times that I wake up with self-doubt, then the next thing I do is I go to the Awesomeness Swipe File. And then if I still have self-doubt, I go work out. Like I will walk 2 or 3 miles to just say, hey, look, I got to get myself into the frame of mind that it's time for me to win. And like that sometimes I will promise you is a fight even for me. Like there's times where I wake up and like I don't feel it and I'm like I got to get my game face on. So what do I got to do to get my game face on? There's times that just before I go to bed and I'm like I have this belief that whatever you think about before you go to bed is what you dream about.
Mm.
So then I'll reverse it. I'll go over my awesomeness swipe file, I'll go over my goals, I'll go over my list. That's how I can bookend my days with some sort of intention.
I
Wow.
love that. I'm going to start
That,
telling that to our students. Thank you. We will quote you on that.
I
Yeah,
know. I love that.
That's
and if you
awesome.
want me to come back and do a session with them, I'm more than willing to say, hey, look, here's how you put this together.
I love
Right. I love Deanna and Bill and Emily. You're new to me, kind of, so I love you too. Right.
that.
Well,
So
this is recorded, so everyone heard he is coming back to teach us the awesomeness flight file.
I mean, if you can, if just one thing to take one action today, one of two actions, take 20 or 30 seconds to record your goals for the next week, or go to your computer screen right now and create a file that just says awesomeness swipe file and take some action today. It's one of those things that'll help you get right sized or right side up when there's a struggle.
Wow, that's so good. We could do another whole podcast, Emily, just on that. The awesomeness
Good.
flight file. I know.
That's awesome. It's simple. I like that it's simple, repeatable to keep those goals and your vision in line every single day. Thank you for that. That's great.
It's great.
Absolutely.
So Scott, I'm going to ask the question of, you're so amazing on so many different levels. And first off, thank you for sharing with us today and being here with us. I'm curious, what's the next chapter of Scott look like?
More high level consulting.
Okay.
I am after acquisitions of in-home companies over 5 million in revenue outside of California. I love California, but I'm looking more for like Texas and Florida.
Okay.
That's the thing that I really thought about yesterday is like, what's the direction that I'm going? Where am I going?
Very good.
And that's it. High level consulting acquisitions.
So how does someone find Scott Bell?
ScottSylvanBell.com is my main website. I go by my full name. Just so you know that there are 43 Scott Bells in California, right? There's an author out of LA. There is an artist out of Santa Cruz. So I use my full name. So anything that I do, I use my full name on. I've got 4,000 YouTube videos. So I've got quite a bit of content, 200 podcast episodes. I write on LinkedIn every day. I have this belief that if I just keep putting information out into the universe, that something's going to come back to me at some point. I never know when it's going to happen, right? Like it could just be on a Wednesday, or it just could be a full moon and somebody contacts me and they're like, "Hey, I was reading your content or watched your blog or saw your video." So there's a lot of places. Just if you search my name, Scott Sylvan Bell, you'll find me.
I love that. Well, thank you, Scott. We really appreciate, especially one because you're just such a dear friend of mine and Bill's, and we're so grateful that you joined us today. For all of you, you definitely should be following Scott Sylvan Bell, and he'll come back because he said it and he was recorded. He will come back and share more with you. So, with that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today to the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. And remember, your dream business starts with just one simple step. And Scott showed you how you just kind of take little simple steps as you go. So, you've got the skills, you've got the drive. Now go turn that into freedom. So, we want to encourage you to take action this week. And we'll see you on our next episode of the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. Anything else, Emily?
That is it. We had a great day today. Make sure to follow our podcast, like, send us a note at info@stayatHomeBookkeeper.com if you like this episode and want to hear more. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Deanna. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.